It was a tragedy that shocked the Isle of Man. The loss of the steam packet company ferry, the Ellan Vannin, left 58 children without one or both of their parents. 21 crew and 14 passengers, including Captain James Tier, lost their lives. The disaster in gale force winds near the Bar lightship in Liverpool Bay is remembered in the famous song performed on board at today's service by its composer, former Spinners member Hughie Jones.
The Ellan Vannin and what happened is very much remembered in the Isle of Man. I mean, it had a massive impact on society at that time because the population was very small, and the steam packet, of course, as today, was very much part of island life.
Wreaths were thrown overboard. Individual roses were cast onto the water for every victim of the tragedy by sea cadets and school pupils.
Our auntie, she went down on the ship when she was 18 years of age, and she was coming home from the Isle of Man to home. She was bringing a baby with her.
My great-grandfather, William Kelly, was on board the Ellan Vannin when it went down.
The Isle of Man Steam Packet Company has a tradition of regularly renaming its vessels, both old and new. But in the case of the Ellan Vannin, no other vessel has ever borne that name. Such was the impact of the disaster on the company and the community.
It brings home to me just the rawness of travel in those days. You know, being so close to the elements on this ferry, it was a bit like being on the Ellan Vannin 100 years ago.
In Ramsey, a special service was held for the island to pay its respects. Among those attending, Margaret Brown, a descendant of first mate John Crane.
When the policeman came to knock on the door of my great-grandmother's house in Lee Terrace, she answered the door and she knew what he was going to tell her because she'd actually dreamt that night that he'd died.
Nothing remains of the Ellan Vannin. The wreck was blown up as a danger to shipping. In the Manx Museum in Douglas, you can see one of its lifebuoys. In Douglas Cemetery, you'll find graves of the victims, reminders of a tragedy that remains a major part of Manx maritime history. Ralph Blunsome, Granada reports on the River Mersey.